Welcome to Black Night Scary. I'm so glad you found me. Please make sure to leave a like on the video as it helps my channel grow and reach more viewers. Enjoy the fresh content and subscribe now. And remember to click that notification bell so you don't miss a thing in the future. To have your story featured on an upcoming video, email the link in the description box below. Thank you all for listening. Sit back, relax, and enjoy these truly terrifying, there were people living in my walls horror stories. Home should always be the safest place in the world. In between those four walls, nothing should come between you and the people you live with, especially not your safety. Story number 1. The settling sounds of the house were supposed to be comforting. My wife Clara and I had moved in 3 weeks ago, eager to start this new chapter in our lives. The walls were bare, the floors creaked, and the scent of fresh paint lingered in the air. It felt like a blank canvas ready for us to fill it with memories. But as days turned into sleepless nights, that comfort turned to unease. Shadows flickered at the edge of my vision. Clara whispered about feeling watched, but I always dismissed it. Old houses had quirks. I told her to ignore the sounds, just the house settling. Then came the whispers. Not just the creaks or groans of the wood, faint, almost imperceptible voices in the dark. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, but Clara believed differently. She often spoke of the strange feeling, a sense that something lurked just beyond our sight. One evening after a long, dark day, I found Clara sitting on the couch, her face pale.
I swear I heard something,
she said, her hands trembling.
It sounded like someone talking.
I rubbed my temples.
It's just the house, Clara. Let's not jump to any conclusions.
That night I locked the doors and set the alarm. I wanted her to feel as safe as possible, but the whispers kept coming, low, chilling murmurs that crept into my dreams, leaving me restless. 1 week later, Clara came to me with a truth that sent chills down my spine.
I saw him,
she said, her voice barely above a whisper.
A man. He was watching me through the walls. I saw his eyes.
My heart raced.
What do you mean, through the wall? I was in the bathroom. I thought I saw movement. When I looked closer, I saw him peeking through a hole.
I felt the walls closing in.
You mean someone in the walls?
She nodded.
I'm sure of it.
I wanted to laugh it off, but the fear in her eyes stopped me. We searched the house, checking every nook and cranny, but found nothing. I tried to convince myself she was mistaken, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we were not alone. Days turned into a blur of anxiety. Clara stayed close, her smile fading, replaced with worry. I worked late trying to distract myself from the gnawing dread, but every time I returned home, the air felt heavier, as if it held secrets I couldn't grasp. Then, one fateful night, I came home to an empty house. Clara had gone to bed early, claiming she was exhausted. I made my way to the kitchen, the fluorescent light flickering above. As I poured myself a glass of water, the whispers echoed once more. I froze. They were clearer now, rising and falling like a twisted lullaby. I followed the sound down the dark hallway, my heart pounding in my chest. Clara's bedroom door was ajar. I pushed it open slowly, the hinges creaking like a warning. My breath caught in my throat. There he was, a man, gaunt and wild-eyed, crouched at the foot of our bed, staring at Clara as she slept. I felt an urge of rage and fear. He was a predator and she was the prey.
Get away from her,
I shouted, my voice cracking like thunder. The man turned, his eyes wide with shock. He lunged at me, but I was ready. I tackled him to the ground, adrenaline coursing through my veins. We wrestled, his hands clawing at my shirt, desperate to escape. Clara stirred, her eyes fluttering open. She saw the chaos unfolding and screamed. That sound cut through the fog of fear, pushing me to fight harder. I pinned him down, my weight pressing him into the carpet.
Call the police,
I yelled at Clara, never breaking eye contact with the man beneath me. His breath was ragged, his face twisted in anger and fear. She scrambled for her phone, trembling hands fumbling. I could feel the man's strength waning. I pressed my knee into his back, holding him down as sirens wailed in the distance.
Please,
he spat, his voice low and sinister.
You don't know what you're doing.
I met his gaze, defiance surging.
You're done. This ends now.
The police arrived moments later. They pulled the man off, handcuffing the man as he snarled like a cornered animal. Clara stood by my side, her face pale but resolute. As they led him away, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. The nightmare was over, but it was just the beginning of healing. In the days that followed, we transformed the house. We painted over the dark corners and filled the walls with laughter. We took our home back piece by piece. The whispers faded, replaced by the sound of our voices. Clara smiled again and I held her close, grateful for our survival and the love that kept us strong. We would never forget, but together we could face anything. Story number 2. The house felt different. It was subtle at first. A fleeting shadow in the corner of my eye. A whisper of wind that felt more like a breath. You brushed it aside, chalking it up to fatigue. The truth was, you'd been working late, poring over reports, and the solitude of your home began to feel oppressive. It was a small, quiet place nestled at the end of a cul-de-sac, but lately, it felt too quiet. You noticed the food. At first, it was a few crumbs left behind on the counter. You made a mental note to clean better. Then, it escalated. The bread you've bought on Wednesday was gone by Friday. Your favorite snack, a bag of chips, vanished overnight. You told yourself that maybe you'd just forgotten about eating them, but deep down, unease began to settle in your stomach, heavier than any meal. Scratching sounds emerged next. Soft at first, like a nail dragging against wood. You'd lie in bed staring at the ceiling, your heart racing as you tried to convince yourself it was just the house settling. But the sounds grew louder, knocking, then scratching, a rhythm that echoed through your small living room. You felt like a fool for being scared of mere noises, yet an instinct screamed at you to pay attention. You tried to ignore it. You doubled down on your work, drowning out the dread with late nights and caffeine, until one night you woke up gasping. The air felt changed like static before a storm. You blinked into the darkness, heart racing. Then, you saw him. A figure stood at your bedside, a man, his face obscured by shadows, but the glint of a knife caught the dim light filtering through your curtains. He was staring right at you, eyes cold and unyielding. Panic surged through you. You shot up, adrenaline crashing through your veins.
What do you want?
You croaked, your voice barely a whisper. He didn't answer. Instead, he lunged. You barely had time to react. You rolled off the bed, hitting the floor hard. The knife swung, slicing the air where you'd just been. You scrambled to your feet, adrenaline fueling your movements. You fought back, desperate and wild. His grip was strong, but you clawed and kicked, fear giving you strength. You pushed him away, trying to reach the lamp on your nightstand. Suddenly you heard it. Sirens in the distance closing in. Your heart raced faster, knowing help was coming. You fought harder, throwing your weight against him, trying to create distance. The man cursed, his voice a low growl, but just as you thought he might overpower you, you heard the front door crash open. The police.
Get down. Show us your hands.
They shouted, their voices breaking through the chaos. The man froze. In that split second, you took your chance. You fled, darting past him and into the hallway. You could hear the officers storming through your home. You burst into the living room, breathless, and fell to the floor, hands raised. They found him. The man was cornered, rage burning in his eyes. They apprehended him quickly, cuffing him despite the protests.
You don't understand,
he shouted.
I was just trying to survive.
And then it all made sense. The scratching, the missing food. He'd been living in your walls for months, watching you, waiting. The officers assured you it was over, that you were safe now. The relief felt like a wave crashing over you. But as they cleared the scene, a chill lingered. You had been so close to losing everything. Weeks passed. You moved forward piece by piece, trying to reclaim your house. The house felt different now, but not in a bad way. You fixed the broken locks, sealed the crevices that could hide a man. You bought a few more snacks, filling the pantry. But this time you could sleep. You learned to trust the whispers of your instincts. The shadows no longer felt menacing. They were just shadows. You could finally breathe. You'd survived. And in that survival, you found a new strength, one that would guard you from the darkness lurking at the edges of your world. Story number 3. The first time I noticed the food missing, I shrugged it off. A long day had left me tired and my mind playing tricks on me. But then the missing items piled up. First, it was a leftover pizza slice. Then my favorite granola bars disappeared. I kept thinking of my late-night snacking habits, but deep down unease crept in. At night, the house almost felt alive. Shadow danced in the corners. The scratching began softly, barely noticeable, like a squirrel outside the window. But it grew louder. Knocking sounds echoed through the walls, rhythmic and persistent. I blamed the old house. It creaked and groaned in the night, just like its owner. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew something was wrong. I just couldn't put my finger on it. I tried to calm myself. Maybe it was just my imagination. Maybe I was simply exhausted, but the sounds kept me awake. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, counting the minutes until dawn. I felt the walls closing in, and the scratching turned into something sinister. My heart raced each time I heard it, wondering if I was alone. One night, I awoke to the sensation of being watched. My breath caught in my throat. I turned, and there he was, a man standing at my bedside, a hammer gripped tightly in his hand. The man's eyes were wild, filled with an unsettling mix of hunger and madness. I froze, my instincts screamed at me to run, but my body wouldn't cooperate. Panic surged through me as he stepped closer. I could smell him, sweat, and something rotten.
Don't scream,
he whispered.
I just want to talk.
The hammer glinted in the dim light, and terror shot through my body. I lunged, shoving him back. We struggled, crashing into furniture, sending a lamp tumbling to the floor. I fought with everything I had, clawing, kicking, desperate to escape. In that chaos, I heard sirens off in the distance. They grew louder and his grip faltered. I seized the moment, darting towards the door, heart pounding. The police burst in moments later, the blaring lights illuminating the room. They found him cowering in the corner, the hammer slipping from his grip. He was arrested, but I felt no relief. As they searched the house, their expressions shifted from confusion to horror.
Ma'am,
One officer said, his voice low and tense.
you should know. He's been living inside your walls.
The walls? I had heard it all along. The scratching, the knocking. Days turned into weeks. I moved out, but the memories haunted me. The sounds still echoed in my mind. I tried to forget, but I couldn't shake the feeling of always being watched, of something lurking just out of sight. Evil had lived in my home, and even though he was gone, I couldn't shake the nagging thought, what if he wasn't the only one? What if there were more? Thank you guys for watching and listening to the video until the very end. Remember to subscribe now to the channel if you haven't already done so, and click the notification bell so you don't miss a thing in the future. To have your scary experience featured on an upcoming video, email the link in the description box below. Thank you again for watching and supporting. Stay safe out there.